Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our today's lesson is of the eutrophication topic, and this topic is from the Cambridge O level subject code 5090. And this topic tells us about the effects of humans on ecosystem. And out of many effects on ecosystem, I have chosen the description about the harmful effects of uh, the human activities on ecosystem. And detail of this topic is the water pollution by untreated sewage and nitrogen containing fertilizer leading to eutrophication. And this topic will be limited to only the following details. For example, increased availability of nitrates and other ions, then the increased growth of producers, which will cause the increased decomposition after the death of producers, and then the increased aerobic respiration by the decomposers, and it will produce the effect of reduction in dissolved oxygen, and ultimately the final outcome will be the death of organisms, aquatic organisms rather, requiring dissolved oxygen in water. So let's proceed for the details which are given in this uh, description. So eutrophication means the excessive enrichment of water bodies with nutrients, mainly nitrates and phosphates. So eutrophication is a sort of paradox. For example, when we say eutrophication, mean perfect, trophication mean the method by which nutrients are being discussed. So eutrophication mean the better nutrients availability. But we discuss mostly the death of aquatic organisms. So in order to resolve this paradox, we should go into much more details in the given context. And this topic, the details of this topic, they are from the level and the curricula of O level only, not beyond that level. But the other subjects, for example, the FSC students and A-level students, they may get benefit out of it, although details are of only O-level syllabi. So eutrophication is the excessive enrichment of water bodies with nutrients, mainly nitrates and phosphates. So these nutrients come from human activities and cause overgrowth of algae and aquatic plants. So scientifically, we divide the algae, we separate algae from the pure plants, because plants are multicellular organisms having specialized reproductive structures, and the organs develop the reproductive organs, but algae, they don't have specialized organs, and all they don't produce zygote, in fact. So the plants and algae are different, but we generally summarize algae and other aquatic plants. So sources of nutrients. So better is to discuss in much more detail. Nitrates and phosphates enter water from several sources. For example, untreated or treated sewage, human waste contains nitrates and phosphates. Even after treatment, these nutrients may remain in the water discharged into rivers and lakes, because the nitrates, they are readily soluble in water. So whenever there is percolation, whenever there is downward movement of the water, so the nitrates, they will go along with the water. So the other source is detergents. Many households and industrial detergents contain phosphates. So these are not removed during sewage treatment. Same problem, an increased phosphate level in the water. Then the arable farming. So plowing lands and using the fertilizers add soluble nitrates to soil, and then rainwater washes these nutrients into nearby rivers and lakes. This process is runoff. And then the factory farming, for example, animal waste, urine and feces of those organisms, they form sort of slurry. And if this slurry reaches water bodies and they add excess nitrates and phosphates in the water bodies. So there is a pictorial evidence that this lake is uh, having what we say nitrates and fertilizers in huge quantities. So there will be much more growth of the algae and other aquatic the photosynthetic organisms. So growth of algae in lake, so due to abundant nitrates and phosphates from treated or untreated sewage and from farmlands, so this will make the growth of algae possible, and there will be algal blooms in that water bodies. So what is the process of eutrophication? So the steps leading to eutrophications, they are as follows. For example, increased availability of nutrients, nitrates, and phosphates in water. So there will be rapid growth of producers, algae and aquatic plants, and forming algal blooms in that water body, and blocking of sunlight. So submerged plants cannot photosynthesize and start dying, and even the death of algae and plants will be there. So decomposition of dead plants and algae by the bacteria, and those bacteria, there will be aerobic bacteria. So increased aerobic respiration by the decomposers, for example, bacteria using up the dissolved oxygen in that particular water body. Then there will be reduction in dissolved oxygen, deoxygenation, and death of aquatic organisms such as fish and invertebrates due to the lack of oxygen. So this is the ultimate response. Otherwise, when we go for the etiology of the eutrophication, so eutrophication looks like the perfect nutrients availability. So perfect nutrients availability to the algae, it will cause the ultimate death of aquatic organism, and that will be the harmful effects on the fish and invertebrates present in that water body. So there is a process, the sequence of events leading to eutrophication. For example, nitrates or phosphates from raw sewage, fertilizers or other sources enter into water system, river or lakes or any other water body. Then algae absorb the nutrients, rather absorb and will get the availability of those nutrients in order to perform their life activities and grow more rapidly. So this will be the consequence. The algal bloom will be the consequence of that particular much more enriched availability of nutrients. For example, nitrogen and fertilizer, the phosphates. Then the algae form blanket on the surface of the water, so blocking the light from reaching algae below. Then there will be death of those plants which may be present over there, but even those plants and algae, obviously they will die after some time. So what will happen? Bacteria will be able to decompose the dead algae and other plants if they are there, using up oxygen in water for respiration. Then the animals in that water die due to the lack of oxygen, and that lack of oxygen was the consequence of bacterial presence, aerobic bacterial presence, which are responsible for the decomposition of dead algae. So what will be the consequence of eutrophication? Ultimate consequences: the loss of biodiversity, fish and other aquatic animals will die. Then the bad odor and taste, decomposing water releases unpleasant smells. Then the water quality deterioration, water becomes unsuitable for drinking or recreational activities. So, and then the disturbed food chain, because the balance between producers, consumers, and decomposers is destroyed. So this uh, figure is giving us much more information. For example, excess nitrates and phosphates, they will cause and allow microscopic plants and algae to reproduce and grow rapidly. Then because in case of normal ecosystem, the consumers are there, but in that particular water body, maybe less availability of the consumers rather consumers. Third point is the less presence of animals consuming those algae phytoplanktons. Then there will be decomposition, death and decay, and then the decomposition of algal cells and algal blooms. And those bacteria, they will consume oxygen present in that water body. So the microscopic plants die, plants and algae die, and there will be less availability of oxygen. And ultimately, this less availability of oxygen will cause the suffocation and death of the aquatic animals, for example, fish and other insects. So how to measure the pollution? The biochemical oxygen demand, BOD, is used to measure pollution level in water bodies. So it will represent the amount of oxygen consumed by microorganisms while decomposing organic matter in water. For example, there is higher BOD means more polluted water. So how to prevent and control the eutrophication process? So we can control it by using low phosphate detergents and then apply fertilizer carefully to prevent nutrients runoff. And then we can use slow release or less soluble fertilizers. Then we can also reduce the animal waste recycling. We will try to improve and recycle the animal waste much more at a much more rapid speed level. In order to, we want to restrict the entry of untreated or nutrient enriched sewage into rivers and lakes. So there will be establishment of vegetation buffers near water bodies to absorb excess nutrients. For example, if we are having trees and other vegetation, so the runoff water will be lesser and there will be lesser availability of nitrates and phosphates into the nearby rivers and lakes. So what is the summary? Increased nitrate and phosphates will increase the algal growth. Then there will be death and decomposition of algae. So oxygen consumed by the aerobic bacteria destroying and decomposing those algae. So oxygen level will fall and fish and other organisms die and water becomes unfit for aquatic life. So the end is tragic, but the concept is eutrophication, mean perfect nutrient supply. So there is a paradox, but we can reduce this much more nutrient availability to the water bodies. So in order to maintain the what we say biodiversity of lakes and water bodies by promoting the fish and insect availability over there. So this is all from my side. Allah Hafiz.